In the summer of 1921, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was sailing his yacht in the Bay of Fundy when something happened to the yacht which made Franklin fall into the freezing water. The feeling of falling into the freezing water made Franklin feel, oddly enough, paralyzed. This feeling of being paralyzed made him feel sick to his stomach, so he decided to go home soon after the fall. The next day, FDR had lower back pain and decided that going for a swim would help ease his pain. When he woke up on the second day after falling into the freezing water, FDR could no longer move his legs and his skin became very sensitive. Within a couple of weeks, FDR was diagnosed with polio. Polio at the time was a widespread epidemic that people feared because they knew so little about it. Later in life, FDR used his money and public influence to start the nationwide program March of Dimes. The March of Dimes helped fund university programs which ultimately led to a vaccine against polio. According to immunization.info.org, before the polio vaccine, 13 to 20,000 people were paralyzed by polio, and about 1,000 people died from it each year in the United States alone. Many families were affected by this disease that struck without warning and created a culture of fear throughout the United States. The first polio vaccine went into use in 1955, 34 years after FDR was diagnosed with polio. As the vaccine became available, polio cases in the United States started to drop rapidly from 1957 onward. What if this vaccine had never been invented? What if this life-saving tool was invented and people didn't take advantage of it? Even though the safety of vaccinations are currently being questioned, children should be vaccinated regularly. Parents shouldn't deprive their children of these life-saving tools that make the world a safer place to live in. Parents should vaccinate their children for a number of different reasons, such as helping their children be healthier, protecting those around their children and future generations, and most importantly, protect the child from outbreaks that those who are not vaccinated obtain. Parents are of course concerned about their child's health, but this concern can go either way in vaccinations. There are some parents who believe that vaccinations are the right thing to do for their child's health and safety, but other parents believe that vaccines have more of a risk and do more harm than good. I believe that there are more positive outcomes and reasons to vaccinate children rather than not. Although there are many reasons why parents should vaccinate their children, first and foremost is the overall health and safety of the child. Every year, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention releases an updated recommendation immunization list that children should be given, along with the appropriate age to receive them. This chart also has a list of all diseases the vaccines are used to fight against, how you can get the disease, and the symptoms and complication of each disease. A child's safety should be top priority for any parent. Paralysis, death, and even the chance of spreading an epidemic such as polio or any other vaccine preventable disease, the child who are not vaccinated is a risk a parent should never take. Many argue diseases like polio, measles, and whooping cough basically don't exist anymore, so there would be no reason to vaccinate against them. Although some diseases are not in the forefront anymore, they still do exist. In the book, Why Vaccinate for Diseases That Do Not Exist, Arthur Maureen Connolly states that polio kills thousands of people each year in countries like Asia and Africa. If an unvaccinated child came into contact with someone who carried the polio virus, that child could easily catch the polio virus through the air or direct contact. HealthyChildren.org answers questions about the HIV disease and the reason why parents should vaccinate. They state, for example, before the HIV vaccine was developed in the 1980s, there were about 20,000 cases of HIV disease in the United States a year. Today, there are fewer than 100 cases a year. However, the bacteria that causes HIV disease still exists, That is why children need the vaccine to be protected. Others argue that there is no need to vaccinate their child for hepatitis when the child wouldn't come into contact with shared needles, shared razors, or have sex with infected partners. It is true that many babies and young children would not come into contact with these things, but hepatitis could be spread from birth if the mother is infected. Even if the mother thinks that she is not infected, the signs and symptoms of hepatitis B can be non-existent. Vaccinating your child with the recommended vaccines can help them be healthier and live a safer life. Some parents don't like giving their children more than 1 or 2 vaccines at the same time. They fear that too many antibodies or antibiotics can cause an unnatural change in their children. The CDC is aware of this fear and actually has a vaccine schedule on their website that allows parents to schedule out their children's vaccines at a pace they want. This option allows parents who are a little iffy on whether or not they should vaccinate their child to make the decision on when their child can be vaccinated. This is a win-win situation, as the parent is in control of the vaccines and what this is a win-win situation as the parent is in control of what vaccines the child is getting and the child is being vaccinated against deadly viruses and diseases. Not only are vaccines good for the safety of your child, but they are also good for the safety of the world and future generations. In 2009, a new flu virus was affecting people all throughout the world and killed more than 16,000 people in 213 countries. Even though the H1N1 flu virus was a brand new virus, it is easy to see how fast and easy it is for the virus to spread. By receiving the recommended vaccines, each parent and child are taking the first step to disease prevention. This is key to preventing further epidemics that can kill over 16,000, like the H1N1 virus did. Vaccines can also help with children who are in daycare or school by protecting them against children who are not vaccinated. Children are not the best at washing their hands after every sneeze or even wiping their nose with something besides a tissue. These germs can easily spread. When a child is vaccinated, it doesn't mean that they're never going to get sick, but they will be protected against the viruses that could cause major health problems for them and those that surround them. Many parents choose not to vaccinate their children because they are more worried about the vaccine doing more harm than good. Another safety concern to those parents who choose not to vaccinate their children is the measles, mumps, rubella MMR vaccine that will cause autism to occur in children. The Dr. Andrew Wakefield claimed that the MMR vaccine did in fact give children autism after he had stories of children becoming autistic after the vaccination. This story quickly made headlines and spread like a virus throughout the world, making parents question the whole vaccination process. Parents started pointing the finger of blame to vaccines for causing much more harm than they would be willing to risk. Parents started to fear vaccines for their child's safety. In 2010, a medical journal which published Andrew Wakefield's autistic findings retracted the study, stating Wakefield's research had not been honest and was not scientifically accurate. What Wakefield's dishonest claim on vaccination did to the parenting community was create a fad. Wakefield made every parent or soon-to-be parent question life-saving techniques and also made parents do research every parent should. In 2005, the well-known actress Jenny McCarthy's son was diagnosed with autism, and she told the world on an appearance on the Larry King Show that by vaccinating her son, he did in fact get autism from the vaccination he had received. This caused yet another fad with parents, because why would a celebrity say something that is false? Due to McCarthy's blaming her son's autism on vaccines, parents decided that they would not vaccinate their children because of what happened to McCarthy's son. After years of all the hype that McCarthy brought on vaccines, it came to be that her son did not have autism and that nothing was caused from the vaccinations that he had received. One influence shouldn't influence the masses, but because she is a celebrity, people allowed her and other famous people's opinions to become their opinion. For those who have children and are a member of social media websites, there is nothing more than the heated debate over vaccinations to get the persuasive point of view from fellow parents. Social media has allowed the vaccination choices to become a bigger fad because sharing your opinion is what social media is all about, right? Simply post that your kid does not like to get shots. You are more than likely to hear from both sides of the argument. Parents will hear that it's okay to give shots, but they shouldn't do shots for the viruses that don't exist anymore, or that parents should be doing them on a different time schedule so that the children isn't receiving too many shots at one time. Like all vaccines, each one comes at a recommended age by the CDC. My two daughters are not even close to the age to where the HPV vaccine would be given. I have tried to educate myself on this vaccine, and the best way I have taught myself about this vaccine is through books, the CDC website, and by asking my daughter's pediatrician for information on the HPV vaccine. The most important thing is that you should be educated on all vaccines, whether for or against. Do not let the hype of a celebrity or well-known doctor give you your ideas on what is best for your child. The number of preventable outbreaks is growing and may astound and scare those parents who do not vaccinate their children. The most popular reason people do not vaccinate their children is because parents do not believe in vaccinating their children for viruses and diseases that no longer exist. They do. In most recent news, Orange County, California sees the worst measles outbreak doctors have seen in 2 decades. CBS News reported on March 26, 2014, there are approximately 21 people who have been diagnosed and 7 that are hospitalized with the measles outbreak. Throughout the valley, health officials have set up clinics and urged people who have not been vaccinated to get the MMR vaccine to help stop the disease to spread. Measles are highly contagious, and anyone who is not vaccinated can easily catch this virus. The MMR vaccine was introduced in the United States in 1963, yet in 2014 there are still people threatening their children's lives and the lives of those around them when it could all be prevented with just one shot. Certainly there are some side effects to vaccinating your children, and these side effects can range in severity. Of course, parents worry about the children and generally have the best interest at heart of everything they do. The job of parenting is not an easy task with so much to worry about. The rise of autism is one example. Autism now affects 1 in 68 children and 1 in 42 boys. Autism is the fastest growing serious development disease in the United States. You cannot blame parents that ask if vaccinations are the cause of this increase, but overwhelmingly, vaccinations are a crucial element in the child's health and essential to worldwide health.